any state are broken, a duly authorized organization swings into action. It may be called the state police, state troopers, militia, the rangers, or the highway patrol. These are the stories of the men whose training, skill, and courage have enforced and preserved our state laws. Patrol, because of the nature of its work, comes in contact with two main types of people. First, the lawbreaker, either careless or deliberate. Second, the innocent victim of an accident or a criminal act. Occasionally, the patrol must deal with a third type of person, often the most difficult to handle. Someone who, while not guilty of a crime, becomes, through his own immaturity and fear, a fugitive.
Friend or foe?
Friend.
Give the password.
Oh, come on, open up, Jimmy. It's me.
What took you so long, Eddie? I've been waiting here.
I had to go to the store for Ma.
Oh, I sneaked out before my folks got up. It's always better that way. Hey, wait till you see all the swell food I got. It'll last us a week. Apples, cookies, candy bars, and half a pie. What did you bring?
I'm not going, Jimmy.
What do you mean you're not going? Why, we had it all planned.
I've been thinking. It's all kind of sudden. Now, if you could make it next week.
Next week? You know where I'll be next week if I don't get away now.
Yeah, I know.
It's gonna be fun. Remember what I told you about Lake Dawson? Dad's got a cabin up there. My real dad, I mean. And we can go swimming and hiking and... Oh, Eddie, don't be chicken.
Who's being chicken? Maybe you ought to go to the hospital anyway.
What for? I'm okay. Sure, my eyes act funny sometimes, but they don't hurt. It'll all go away. Nobody's gonna get me in a hospital. Come on, Eddie.
I'd sure like to, but my birthday's coming up, and Dad promised me a new chemistry set. You aren't sore, are you, Jimmy?
No, I'm not sore. But you won't tell anybody where I'm going, will you?
No, I won't tell.
Wait here 5 minutes before you come out. Then nobody will see us together. That's the way it's always done.
Okay.
So long, Eddie.
So long, Jimmy.
You've just got to find him, Mr. Matthews, before something happens.
Well, it's still early in the morning. He can't have been gone more than 2 hours. What makes you think he's run away from home?
Oh, I found this note on the kitchen table when I got up to get breakfast.
Thank you. Dear Mom, I know you mean well, but I don't need an operation. Don't worry, I'll be all right. I won't need my catcher's mitt. Give it to Kenny Fisher. Love, Jimmy. What's all this about an operation?
It's his eyes. That's why you've got to find him. And he took his bicycle, and we told him not to ride it. He could be killed.
You better let me explain, Mrs. West. You know, Dan, I'm an ophthalmologist, an eye specialist.
Yes, I know.
Well, last week, Jimmy was accidentally hit over the eye with a baseball bat. It didn't seem too serious at first, and then he started stumbling and bumping into things and complaining of flashes of light. Mr. and Mrs. West brought him to my office 2 days ago. After a thorough examination, I discovered a traumatic strabismus.
Just a minute, Doctor. You've just lost me.
Well, that is, the blow on his head impaired the coordination of his eye muscles. He couldn't focus properly, judge distance.
That's why he was bumping into things?
Yes. We also found evidence of a detached retina. That would cause blind spots in his field of vision.
And he's riding a bicycle in that condition. It was all I could do to keep my husband from getting out of his sickbed to go and find him.
It is serious, Dan. The boy needs absolute quiet. Now, ordinarily, I would insist that Jimmy go to the hospital immediately while I arrange for an operation.
Jimmy's afraid of hospitals. We thought we'd made him understand how necessary this operation is.
Tell me, Doctor, is the boy in danger of losing his eyesight?
Yes, there is a danger. A slight blow or a minor accident could increase the retinal detachment. I'm afraid I couldn't be optimistic of an operation under those conditions.
I'm afraid we're just going to have to try and find him.
Oh, thank you.
Are there any relatives in this area he might go to?
Just his father in Ridgely.
His father? I thought you and Mr. West lived here.
Oh, Mr. West is Jimmy's stepfather. Jimmy's real father is James Adams. But Jimmy wouldn't go there.
How can you say that?
Jimmy knows his father would check back with me if he showed up there all of a sudden.
I'm sure he would if you were on friendly terms.
Oh, we are. We take Jimmy to see his father 3 or 4 times a year. We're quite good friends. But Jimmy knows his real father's away on a business trip. We got a letter just last week.
Well, if he's going to run away, he might want company, maybe a kid his own age.
Well, I've called the parents of all the children Jimmy plays with. None of them have seen him.
Why don't you give me a list of all his pals and his playmates, and I'll check them out.
One by one, the highway patrol questioned Jimmy's young friends and their parents. No one had seen Jimmy Adams that morning, and no one knew of any plan to run away. Parks and playgrounds were covered with negative results. Then, for the second time that morning, a patrol car stopped before the home of Eddie Streeter, a close friend of Jimmy's.
Hi, you Eddie Streeter?
Uh-huh.
I talked to your mother about a half hour ago. I said I'd call back.
Mom's next door.
Yeah, I know, but I want to talk to you. Oh, by the way, I'm Dan Matthews, Highway Patrol. You want to check my credentials?
They're okay. Won't you come in?
Thanks. Eddie, tell me, how's your friend Jimmy?
Jimmy? Oh, he's okay. Jimmy who?
Jimmy Adams. I understand you're very good friends.
Yeah, I guess so.
When'd you see him last?
Last night. Yeah, last night.
Well, you know that Jimmy's going to have an operation on his eyes, don't you? Now, it's not going to hurt him a bit, Eddie, but it's very important to him, because if Jimmy gets a bump on the head or hurt, he's liable to have trouble seeing for the rest of his life. That'd be pretty bad, wouldn't it?
Uh-huh.
Well, there's one thing he can do for a pal like Jimmy. Tell me where he is.
What'll you do to him when you find him? Arrest him for running away?
No, it won't be anything like that. We'll just make sure he gets the operation, that's all.
Will you tell him I told you?
Not if you don't want me to. Now, where is he? Come on, Eddie, where's he going?
He's going up to Lake Dawson.
Lake Dawson on a bike? That's 75 miles away.
Yeah, Jimmy.
Oh, wait a minute. How's he going to get there? What highway's he going to take? Do you know?
I don't know, mister. He didn't tell me a thing. I don't know.
One thing. When did you see him last?
About a half an hour ago. I don't know.
Eddie, you've done Jimmy a big favor.
You won't tell him I told you, will you, mister?
That's the way you want it, and that's the way it's going to be. Is that a deal? Thanks. Kid's on his way to Lake Dawson on a bike. He can't be too far away.
What route's he taking?
I don't know. He's got 3 choices. So have we. We might be able to pick him up before he gets too far out of town. Call headquarters.